welcome to Miracle, English Language and Literature Institute. I am Professor Abha Sharma, and in this video, we are going to discuss the literary theory, New Historicism. This term was given by the Harvard professor Stephen Greenblatt. Now, he used this term for the interpretation of the Renaissance text from 1500 to 1660. He used this term in his book, The Power of Forms and the Form of Power in the Renaissance text, 1982. New Historicism can also be termed as cultural poetics, and this term emerged because of the overuse of the lingering theories of new criticism. That is, text is only to be considered. All the external features like history or social structure or even writer's personal life, that is biographical feature, should be excluded because these things can hinder the real meaning of the text. But then this new historicism was a step ahead of new criticism. Previously, before new criticism, history was taken into consideration. The times and the social structure was considered in which this text was produced or written. But then he says, the professor says that the critic, when he reads this text, even his history and social conditions are to be taken in. So, new historicism means that the histories of both the author and the critic, that is, the text and the context of the author and the text and the context of the critic should be considered while evaluating a text.
I think that the idea of reading from a universal point of view is a fantasy. You read from your own point of view, from a particular place and time, from who you are and what your interests are.
He disregards the concept of universality. He says it is mobility. The text has come from one time to the other and has maintained the same interest, and still the people can relate to it. That is mobility.
And it crosses barriers. And that's what is the fascination of works of art. But it doesn't mean that it's universal. It doesn't mean that it escapes from time and place. It means that it's able to be mobile.
It is often said that literature, when it is written, it reflects the social and the psychological background of the era. And history is considered to be linear, stable and recoverable. But then it is not so. Even history is biased. History also cannot be said to be universal, because suppose if a person is writing some historical events, he's writing on some historical events, and he may like a king, or he may have a negative image of a good king also, then what will happen? He would change the image, and later on if somebody else writes, then he would again, according to his understanding, may change. So history is not linear or stable. It keeps changing. History is changed when the political scenario of a country changes. The politicians have a major hand, that is the power. He said that the knowledge and the power are responsible to change the historical facts. If a certain leader or a politician likes that event, it will be exaggerated. Or if he doesn't approve of something, the total historical event will be negated, will be ignored.
As far as I know now, even in our current situation, we read from the particular people we are and with the particular interests we have.
The person who will take birth in the same country after 100 or 200 years will get to read the opinionated views of the politicians. Therefore, history is not linear at all. The same thing is told by the Professor Greenblatt, that history is very much subjective. Whatever one thinks about it, he understands. And this literary theory was based on the philosophy of Michel Foucault, another French philosopher. New criticism was prevalent in 1920s and 30s, whereas this movement of new historicism became popular in 1980s and 90s. As I told you, that it is also called cultural poetics because the writer may belong to a different culture, different language, and his studies are interpreted by the critic who may come from a different culture and language. So, again, other than history and the social background, you can have the interference from the culture and the context. The language may also pose difficulty in understanding. When you are of a different culture, it is very difficult to understand things of another culture completely. You may step in the shoes, but those shoes will be too tight or too loose for you. Therefore, you will only love to understand what was taught to you by the collective subconsciousness of your own culture. You have this inherently. You cannot learn this externally because again you will go back to your roots and will somewhere or the other will project these precipitations. Therefore, any text which is critically evaluated is not 100% correct. It is according to the critic's subjective knowledge, interpretations, thoughts, and understanding.
But it has to do with the language. It has to do with the kind of incantatory magic of words. It has to do with what happens to the air as it passes through your lungs as you recite the verses.
If you like my effort, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, explore our website www.miraclewebstore.com. Till I make the next video, keep in touch, take care.
And mobility rather than universality is really, for me, the key issue.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.